confession to make. And to be honest, I feel pretty awkward and vulnerable. Okay, very vulnerable saying this publicly. But I just believe in being open about these things. So last month and the month before, I've been feeling pretty lonely, even more lonely than I did at the height of the pandemic for some weird reason. And a friend of mine said the same thing, even though she's been going out a lot more. Why is that? Today's video is for all the women out there who sometimes feel lonely and isolated. We're going to talk about why it happens and what we can do about it. So if you'd like to know more, please keep watching. Hi, I'm Rena Hedeman, certified career and life coach, and this is Thrive After 45, where I help women level up in areas related to our mindset, our body, and our relationships. So if you're a woman over 45, this channel is for you. So hit the subscribe button, click the bell, and you'll be alerted every time there's a new video. So I did some research on loneliness and social isolation, and I dug down deep and I dissected my feelings, and I came up with 3 steps that I'm now calling the isolation antidote because I found that they really help. Today's topic of loneliness is really important for everyone of all ages, not just women over 45, because, well, we've all been coping with the social isolation of the pandemic, followed by the stress and anxiety of what might become a world war, plus throw in, the usual winter blues that often come from decreased daylight, which thank goodness we're coming out of now. So it's pretty much the perfect storm. And for those of us who are extroverts, we literally gain our mental energy, recharge our batteries by being around groups of other people. By the way, if you want to learn more about personality types, watch the video I recently did on that, Myers-Briggs. It's pretty cool stuff. But getting back to loneliness, clearly the social isolation we've all experienced these past 2 years has really taken a toll. Then throw in social media, which can really mess with your head no matter how old you are, because everyone's life looks shiny and bright and fabulous. And then we start making unrealistic comparisons to the people in these photos, which are often highly edited, and it just seems on the surface that everybody else's life is way better than ours, and this can make us feel even more isolated. And then on top of that, if you're a woman in your 40s or older, you're most likely to be on an emotional roller coaster that can often come from so many factors. Many of us are experiencing menopausal symptoms and changing hormones that we just don't understand. Oh, I talked about that too recently in this video. Our bodies are changing, our moods are swinging, our metabolism is slowing. We feel almost like different people from who we were just a few years ago in some ways. In addition, our children are leaving home and they just don't need us in the same way that they used to. Yet, we can't help but still worry about them, especially in the wake of the pandemic, as we're all trying to grapple with the uncertainty of what's coming next. So some of you who know me personally might be surprised to hear me say that I've been feeling this empty sense of loneliness, because I'm happily married to an amazing guy who's my best friend, and our youngest is still living at home, so we're not empty nesters yet. So it's not like I'm all alone, and I'm a pretty upbeat, positive energy kind of girl most of the time. But I learned in my research that those of us feeling lonely these days are definitely not in the minority. Here are some really interesting facts I learned about loneliness. According to a study done by Harvard University, social isolation and loneliness have reached epidemic proportions in the United States, affecting 2/3 of the population. And it was even really bad before COVID too. And get this. According to the CDC, social isolation is linked to high blood pressure, a weakened immune system, anxiety, depression, and more. Great, right? It increases the risks of dementia by 50%, stroke by 32%, and coronary heart disease by almost 30%. And regardless of gender, race, ethnicity, socio-economic background, and genetic risk, social isolation also significantly increases the risk of premature death from all causes. Wonderful. You see, our emotions are linked to our heart health. So when people experience a pandemic or a trauma or a death of a spouse, divorce, job loss, serious illness in the family, which one tends to experience more at midlife and beyond than you did as a young adult, right? Their heart just stops working the way it's supposed to. And there's even a syndrome called, I'm going to screw this up, Takotsubo cardiomyopathy. I did it! Also called broken heart syndrome. It's a real thing. Research also finds that the lack of social connection carries the same, if not greater, risks as heavy smoking, drinking, and obesity. Another downside is that when we feel lonely or socially isolated for long periods of time, we tend to want a quick fix to those negative feelings. So people often tend to turn to sugar or alcohol or gambling or something else that's addictive. For many people who live alone, that sugar or alcohol often comes to feel like a friend or a companion, so they don't want to give it up. And contrary to what some people might assume, social isolation and loneliness are not personality traits or lifestyle choices. They stem from a variety of situations. You know, human beings are social creatures by nature. Back in the prehistoric days, we humans always stayed together because it was the only way to stay alive. So we're genetically wired to be a part of a large group. So that's why today I want to share some really helpful ways to bring us out of isolation and feel connected again. Whether you're looking to feel more valued or more visible, or like me, I just want to feel the energy that a crowd of great fun people give me. I really miss group camaraderie. But the problem is, at this point, we're all kind of used to being social hermits. We've gotten out of the habit of making an effort. At least I have. But there's something I know for sure. If I want something to change, I've got to change. That's true for all of us. If we want something, we've got to make an effort and put in the work. And we've got to do our best to have a positive mindset about it. There's no one-size-fits-all solution to getting rid of loneliness, but here are 3 things that can really help. 1, figure out what exactly is making you feel lonely. Do a deep dive with your feelings and ask yourself, is it because you've moved to a new town where you don't know anyone? Or because you don't feel close connections to the friends you do have? Or like in my case, maybe you want more opportunities to be around friends and other fun, interesting people. There are many reasons you might feel socially isolated. So the first step is to articulate what that is. Then, number 2, think of a possible solution to change that and then do it. Easier said than done, I know. But for example, if you've moved to a new town, join the newcomers club maybe, or a church, or a garden club, a running club, or look online for an interesting meetup and go to it. Go to several. If you want to find new friends that you can connect with on a deeper level, volunteer for an organization whose mission is really meaningful to you, where you'll find like-minded people who are aligned with you in terms of purpose and meaning. And if, like me, you want to be around more people more often, make it happen. Even though I really do enjoy weekend nights in my PJs sipping wine in front of the TV with my husband, if I'm feeling socially isolated now, I need to organize a girls' night out or a group hike or a barbecue or something. I've simply got to make the effort, not just once or twice, but several times. And we all need to recognize that taking action is probably going to be out of our comfort zone. What I mean by that is it's going to feel easier not to do it. Right? Because you might be busy with work, or you're going to be tired when you get home at the end of the day. It's so much easier to stay home, make no plans, and just be passive. But that won't help feelings of social isolation go away. If you really don't want to go out, or you can't for some reason, reach out to others online or on video calls like we've all been doing for so long. Or contribute to your favorite YouTube channels by leaving comments and joining in on the conversation, or Facebook groups. I've seen people really help and support each other online, and they'll be there for you too. But you've got to start by engaging, by taking action. And step number 3, here's a fun little game that you can try. I love this. Imagine someone you admire, someone who you don't think feels really lonely or isolated in their own life, most likely. Someone like, I don't know, Beyonce or Oprah or Meryl Streep, whoever you want. Imagine they traded places with you, so they took on your body in your home with your job in your town and everything. What do you think they would do in your situation? Do you think they would allow themselves to remain isolated for a long time? I mean, I'm guessing that if Oprah were in my shoes, I'm sure she'd plan all sorts of really cool fun gatherings and make them happen. That's just kind of how she is. And if she traded places with you, I don't know, maybe she'd join a book club. Actually, she'd probably start a book club. This is a really cool little tactic because it's fun and it makes you realize that it's all really about mindset, as I said. I mean, just by thinking about this right now, what you're doing is borrowing what you think their mindset would be. You're activating different parts of your brain, and when you do that, you start making different choices. Fear or laziness becomes less of an issue, and you have the courage and inspiration to do something different to what you've been in the habit of doing recently. So whenever you're feeling lonely or isolated, ask yourself, what would that person do in this situation right now? I know it sounds overly simple, but it actually really helps, and it's fun. The most important thing is just taking that first step and getting started. And yes, it will be uncomfortable at first, but anything that's going to push you out of your current habits and into new ones is going to start off being uncomfortable, particularly when you're feeling lonely and isolated. But taking the 3 steps that I outlined will really help lift you out of that. So much of loneliness is a mindset and a false perspective that everybody else out there has it all together and they've all got so many close friends and so many opportunities and so much going on and so much more everything than you have. But it's not true. That's why so many of us feel isolated. But if we can change our mindset and take action, baby steps are totally fine. Just keep taking action every day. You'll find that when you start taking steps outside your comfort zone, magic happens. Be patient. Rome wasn't built in a day. Nothing changes overnight. You've got this. We've got this. If this has helped you in any way, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do so. And let me know in the comments what topics you'd like me to cover in future videos. Thanks so much for watching. See you next week. Oh, and remember, take great care of your gorgeous self because you deserve it and you are definitely so worth it.